Ding dong, the witch is dead. This is cause for celebration, everyone. Yesterday, Disney announced that The Acolyte has officially been canceled. There will not be a season 2 of this abomination of a show. Deadline reported it was because the viewership numbers were low. How were we supposed to know that? Everyone in the media was insisting this was a massively successful show because there was so much social media buzz. I could only assume it's the most popular Disney Star Wars property ever released.
Well, there was a lot of viewing figures that came out at the end there that say by the end the viewership was 50% below Andor, which did get a season 2, but already had very, very low numbers.
Deadline says the news is not entirely surprising. The Acolyte did okay with critics, 78% on Rotten Tomatoes. It was 14% with audience.
It doesn't even matter either way.
Yeah.
None of that really matters. If people show up, they'll renew it, right?
The hate watching just wasn't strong enough to keep this show afloat. So The Acolyte got a strong start when it launched in June, generating 4.8 million views on its first day on Disney+. But the series then dropped off, couldn't sustain momentum. It dropped out of the top 10 in week 3 and stayed off before returning at number 10 after its finale release. But it just wasn't high enough viewer numbers to keep it going.
So everybody's framing this as like the chuds and the incels won, right? That's not what happened here. Nobody watched. Like, if they won by default, right? They got lucky and won. If this show had great viewership, it wouldn't have mattered how much negative press there was.
And like as loud as you can be shilling for it online, that doesn't translate to financial reward.
Disney execs don't sit there and read these tweets online.
You know what's so funny? It was actually Manny Jacinto's birthday when they announced that the show was canceled.
Yeah. So it is fair to point out that this hasn't been confirmed by anyone at Disney. It's just been picked up by all of the trades. Yeah, right? I mean, I would assume that if Deadline is reporting it, it's probably reliable. And here's the other thing. Okay, so this show cost $180 million to make. Right? Now, what people were saying is that we were sold the idea that when streaming came along, what was going to happen is that shows were going to be given a chance that might not normally be given a chance. They were going to be allowed to have that bad season 1 and maybe get better in season 2. No. That was more common in network television and in basic cable when things were cheaper. Somebody actually had the absolute gall to compare this to Breaking Bad. I want to point something out. Breaking Bad season 1 was 7 episodes, cost about $3 million an episode. Every episode of Breaking Bad season 1 combined cost as much as just one episode of The Acolyte. Yeah. And the idea that you would compare these two is one of the most patently insane things I have ever heard in my entire life. It was also a network show, so it made money through advertising. Yes, not through streaming subscriptions. And Disney Plus is, of course, not profitable to begin with, so they shouldn't tolerate losing $180 million on this vanity project. Everyone is talking past each other, thinking that this was somehow a bunch of Disney executives like, oh, we're capitulating to the racists and the sexists and the homophobes. No, they looked at the fact that nobody watched your show after 2 episodes, and then they just said, we can't do it anymore. You cannot subsidize this amount of money towards art forever. They can do it. Somebody pointed out to me, like, yes, they do subsidize the message. Sure. Yes, they do from time to time, but they're not going to do it indefinitely. Eventually, everything reaches a critical mass and they can't afford it anymore. If they were going to drop the amount of money spent in season 2, then they'd complain that they didn't have any faith in it, even though there shouldn't be any faith in it because nobody's watching it. Okay? Every Disney Plus streaming show has had progressively lower viewership with every new show. So it says, the show performed extremely poorly compared to previous Star Wars series. As noted on X, the show's finale performed worse than every single live-action Star Wars show released on Disney Plus before it, including Ahsoka, Andor, Obi-Wan Kenobi, The Book of Boba Fett, and The Mandalorian. Okay? You have a trending, you have a trend that's going downwards. Things aren't improving or getting better. There is more excitement for Andor Season 2 than there is for this.
It's so delicious to see the cope. I'm going to share some of the cope with you guys because the cope after this was announced was just chef's kiss.
And I'm sorry, like my point was when I was talking about this, I said, look, I am a pretty rational and reasonable person. When this was announced, I said, I don't relish people not getting a chance to do more work.
Oh,
right?
I do.
Okay, I'm just saying. Okay, so my point being that I don't relish the people behind the scenes who don't have any political views that they're pushing on us not getting their chance to do more work. However, Amanda Stenberg making her stupid clapback video drains any desire I have to show you any amount of sympathy.
It's totally deserved after what Amanda Stenberg did with that stupid diss track.
But that's exactly that's what I'm saying.
And yeah, I understand that below the line workers are going to face the consequences of what she did, and she should face consequences for that too, but you don't deserve a job. No one deserves a paycheck. That's crazy.
This is what...
And they got their paycheck for the work they did. So there is no love lost.
A source told The Hollywood Reporter that Stenberg's diss track damaged the Acolyte's reputation with audiences. Hollywood knows attacking the fans hurts them. They just can't resist it or control the activists they've hired. Yes, when you hire people who believe that they are some type of moral authority on a mission from whoever it is, their DEI god, whoever it is that they believe, pushes them forward to push some great message.
Their DEIT?
Yeah. Their deity,
like
right?
Deity.
Like, when they believe that they are inherently moral, good, and right, you're never going to be able to control them.
Yeah.
You're never going to be able to just do their job.
So here were some of the responses. One said, the racists and misogynists won today, sadly. Another one said, Disney hates hot people.
That one really upset Mary.
Because, of course, they were really thirsty for Manny Jacinto's character. They were posting thirsty fan cams of this villain in the show, and they're so sad that they don't have wank material anymore. Another one said, can someone who's not a loser and an incel genuinely explain to me why and how this show was bad? It wasn't great, but I feel like it's definitely overhated. Another one said, some people just don't appreciate anything. And this is going to be one of the series that's appreciated later on.
That might be the hardest cope of all of them.
That's insane. They're just huffing copium right now. That is so... this is not going to be remembered.
It's not about how many people dissed your show. It's about how many people didn't show up to watch it. Mm-hmm.
They're so loud on Twitter. Look, they don't show up to watch it.
This is the same thing that people were saying when Furiosa came out, or any of these other things. You can blame the YouTubers all you want, but that's not what stops people from going to see movies. Indifference, boredom, and disinterest and poor advertising is what stops people from going to see movies.
They're trying to get hashtag renew the Acolyte to trend right now.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they drummed up this interest and then they did it just to...
The way they did with, what was that Netflix show that no one cared about?
Warrior Nun.
Yeah, Warrior Nun. So they're trying to get hashtag renew the Acolyte to trend. And this person said, Star Wars continues to fold under the pressure of the worst, smallest, loudest part of the fan base. This is so wildly disappointing. Such a shameful move on Disney's part to abandon great series and storytellers because of trolls. The Acolyte deserved better.
The viewing numbers are the loudest piece here. The lack of people watching it is louder than any of that. I am very, very sick to death of people believing that art that you agree with should be subsidized to the tune of $180 million.
It's entitlement.
If this show had a bunch of viewership and got renewed, you wouldn't have to focus on all of the people saying negative stuff about it, because you could focus on the fact that people actually enjoyed it and were showing up to watch it live, which would bolster more natural discussion on the internet. That's not what's happening here.
Actually, the show was very popular because I was getting fan cams of
Smilo Ren on my TikTok For You page.
Look, people were hesitant when House of the Dragon was announced, and even before House of the Dragon came out. That show is extremely popular by the same people that you're complaining about here. Obviously not all of them, but a good percentage of the same people who hate The Acolyte absolutely love House of the Dragon. How do you explain that? Other than quality difference in viewership numbers, which went up increasingly with House of the Dragon.
This is a great one. I need to hear it from Star Wars themselves, and they need to explain why they're canceling the only show with a predominantly non-white queer cast that had incredible viewership from audiences that would never have tuned into Star Wars previously.
Again, they just lying.
Mm-hmm.
It never
happened.
About the viewership.
Do they mean there was incredible viewership from like 12 people? I'm sure they were really excited about it.
They were the biggest fans.
But this is not how the real world works. They said this could have been an incredible show if it was given another season to work out its kinks. This show meant so much to so many people, and this will now open the floodgates for a sea of bigotry.
It's got nothing to do with bigotry.
We don't live in the same reality as these people.
No,
they're beyond help. These people do not live in reality. They're totally detached. Mm-hmm. And like nothing can reach them.
It would be like, maybe the converse would be like when a movie does well, like when Barbie did really, really well, we weren't like, this can't be real. Why would this do well? No.
We don't get upset.
No, the point was, we said, look, I didn't care for the movie, but clearly this movie found an audience. It spoke to someone, and I will always appreciate when a movie finds an audience, even if it's a message I disagree with or a movie I don't like.
They're treating it like it's the cancellation of Freaks and Geeks, which was a travesty, by the way.
That was a travesty.
That was a travesty.
That did deserve a chance.
John Francis Daley is a legend.
Yeah.
I hate that you brought that up. I feel sadness about that.
I started a list last night after reading about all this, about all of the shows that I loved that only got one season, that never got a chance to grow beyond that. Yeah. And I was thinking about it. I talk about it all the time, but I don't talk about it as if it's the network's fault or the fault of bigots and racists or something to the contrary. Like I say all the time, ever seen the movie Limitless?
Nope.
They made a TV show about the movie Limitless that I loved, that apparently only I loved. Nobody else on planet Earth actually liked it but me. And I was always sad that it didn't get a second season. But I'm not going out and blaming the world. It just didn't find the audience that it needed to continue.
Yeah.
I can't believe these people are real. Like, are these bots? Another one said, I'm really tired of sharing the franchise I love with toxic, misogynistic, immature racists and constantly seeing them being catered to, even though the rest of us have been here all along wanting new and fresh stories that connect deeply with all of us.
You know, that makes me think I've never been more proud to have never seen a single Star Wars anything.
There you go.
Just leave me out of it.
You're just a bunch of dorks.
I'm not even like a Star Wars fan. Like, I liked the original movies well enough. But to pretend that, you know, whether you're comparing it to the franchise aside, to pretend that this was an okay attempt at a show in general, like in the sci-fi or fantasy genre, is just crazy. It's not even at CW level. No. Like, it's not even there. And it got platformed by some strange twist of fate by a multi-billion-dollar corporation, and they learned their lesson real quick.
We reviewed every episode. We watched it the whole way through. We did not just make up our thoughts on it. We had to go and actually...
Right. They're all claiming that the haters of the show never watched it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's true for some people. And honestly, they would be within their rights to talk shit about the show without watching it. I don't even care. But we did give it a chance. We watched through every episode, and they were all bad.
It was unbelievably incoherent. Like, it had a messaging problem. It had tonal issues. It had a messaging problem. It had story issues beyond character motivations that you just couldn't understand or figure out. And maybe that's the worst part of it. It's got nothing to do with racism or sexism. It's that it's boring. It's shot in drab, dark colors that don't like pop on screen because everything is CGI. It's lifeless, and the attempt at deeper meaning and creative storytelling doesn't come off creative. It doesn't come off as deep or high concept. It just comes off as confusing and muddled. And you don't grow an audience that way. It had strong viewership numbers, I guess, even though they were below Ahsoka for episodes 1 and 2. And then predictably, people said, it's the show looks like it's shot at permanent dusk. I have no idea what any of these characters want. It's boring. I'm not going to watch anymore.
It wasn't even bad enough to keep us entertained. Like, it wasn't so bad it's good bad. It was just bad.
Yeah, I mean, somebody might even be able to make that comment about, like, we went and saw Madam Web, and I had an absolute blast because it was so stupid. I had a good time.
That was the perfect amount of stupid.
I don't know why this is making me think of, what's his name? Mark Ruffalo's Hulk. How it's like they had, who was the first guy that played him in 2003? Eric Bana.
Or Eric Bana.
And Ed Norton. And both of them tried to be like kind of serious, kind of moody. But then finally Mark Ruffalo's came along and he was just this big, dumb green guy that breaks shit. And it was like, this is fun. This is fun to watch. Stop making him serious.
I actually like the Edward Norton one.
It was solid. It was solid for what it was. Yeah.
All right. And that's funny, too, because there was like all sorts of discourse going on over the weekend about the scene in She-Hulk where she talks about how she's had it worse than the Hulk because she has to control her anger because people say rude stuff to her at work sometimes. Because
she's a woman.
Yes.
I'm really excited for Leslie Headland's public statement about this and Amanda Stenberg's public statement about this. I don't F with your discourse.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you know me. I tend to be more. I feel bad inherently when something like this happens. But
they worked so hard
the
on
moment
it.
I thought about the smug, self-righteous clapback video, any desire I had to feel that way was just gone.
No, the person who should feel bad is Amanda Stenberg. That's the person who should feel bad right now because she was the one who threw them under the bus. We don't feel bad.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.